Hello, it's Donagh McKeown here for your Lurgan. I'm in, well, an area that's just next to Lurgan, in the heart of Craigavon, and I'm in City Park. The area around me is full of trees, some of them here a little while. Also with me are a couple of mountain bike trails, but this park is under threat, or would appear to be, from the potential ravages of major work to construct a school project. I'm sure you've heard about it. Two ladies with me to talk about that, but more ostensibly about the park itself, why they love it. And let's hear from them now.
Hello, I'm Helen McGrath, and I belong to part of the Save Craigavon City Park and Lakes group.
Hi, I'm Lavery, and I'm Secretary of the Save Craigavon City Park and Lakes group.
First of all, we're right in the heart of the area that's being designated for development of a school. Tell me the history of that and why you're concerned about that.
We found out in 2016 that Southern Regional College had plans to build a landmark campus on the area just to the side of us. It's a 19,500 square metre building with I think it's 450 car parking spaces right in the middle of the woodland, right in the centre of City Park. So we have been campaigning since November 2016 to try and stop it. It's not that we object to the building of Southern Regional College, we object to the site that they picked, because this is our park. It has always been our park and it always will be our park, and you know, there's numerous alternative sites where they can build. So at the minute we have just applied to the Court of Appeal to get the planning permission quashed. That could take between 2 and 5 years to complete, and we're hopeful that this time we will be successful.
We'll hear more about what that campaign is doing and what it will do or might have to do before things change, I suppose. We'll come back to you in a second on that. Helen, you've lived around here. You're not born here, but
No.
You've lived here longer probably than you lived
Yes.
elsewhere. And you were here at the very start of all of this park.
Yep, me and my family and myself came over here in 1968, and it was Moylin, one of the first estates that was built in Craigavon. It was incredible to be a small child growing up here because we had such freedom. It was just perfect. And my mother's bedroom window overlooked the site where the lakes are, where the lakes were created. And I actually watched as the diggers came in and dig out the lakes. I saw the diggers go in. I saw most of them come out. But rumour has it that there was potentially a JCB lying at the bottom of the lakes, and they just filled it in with water.
So it could still be there.
It could still be there. We could have our very own Craigavon Nessie, for want of a better word. But this when this happened, the trees and the landscaping and everything that you see around you now were not there. It was a puddle. It was a hole with water in it 54 years ago. But now it has developed into this beautiful park. It is the heart of Craigavon. It's the heart of our city. And it's used on a daily basis. People come here no matter what the weather, rain, hail, sleet and snow and sunshine. It's somewhere to come and scream and roar and cry, or to play and walk and cycle. And it's an intrinsic part of our area where we live, and it's something that we would be very protective of, and we have no intentions of letting go.
Let me talk about one of the aspects of being protective that emerged in the last week or two. The story of oil spillages into the lake. You were there to see the effects of that. How not so much disappointing, but how concerned were you about that, and how that might return again?
Well, we were very concerned because this is the second spill in 13 months. So we had quite a big leakage into the lake last January, and then early last week one of the fishermen reported another spill. Now, just around the corner from both sites there is a family of otters, and as you know, otters are protected, but we did a wee bit of research, and basically 2 litres of oil can pollute an Olympic-sized swimming pool, which is basically what we have down there. This spill was considerably bigger. Now, there's not just otters, they're not the only protected species that we have here, but you know, there needs to be more care needs to be taken to stop this, because this Craigavon Lakes is a reservoir, and Craigavon Lakes feeds into Donagh, which is an area of scientific interest. You know, it is a national nature reserve. But on top of the impact on the wildlife and the plants, the fish, etc., that's our drinking water. You know, all of the drinking water for Craigavon comes from Donagh, and this oil is spilling into Donagh.
Yeah, so it's not just the environment for wildlife, it's ourselves, our own lives that are equally concerned about. I know that you're, I gather, a committed environmentalist, but also into the wildlife and the nature. How important is the wildlife and nature here, and what should we be seeing or hiding behind the hedges and not seeing, perhaps?
Well, for a start, to the right of me, these trees were planted about 27, 28 years ago now. And they were planted by Craigavon Council and also the Scottish Wildlife Trust, Woodland Trust. So these are broadleaf trees. These are our species. If you look, you can't see. There's no pine. There's nothing there. So these are all our native species. We have bats. We have an area where there are protected orchids, and there's also the cryptic wood butterfly and hedgehogs. I mean, like Kelly said earlier, the very notion of putting a college here would be the equivalent of putting the Met College into Ormeau Park in Belfast, or putting a massive supermarket in the middle of Brownlow Park, Lurgan Park. It simply wouldn't be considered, it wouldn't be tolerated, it wouldn't be authorised on any level by anybody. And why is our park any different? Why are they making a difference between the parks that are already here and this park? This park serves a really a difficult place to live for some people. This park, we have one of the highest levels of suicide in this area. People come here for their mental health. They come here to exercise. They come here to get into nature. Personally, having suffered from mental health issues myself, you know, and grief, this area saved my sanity on more than one occasion, and it is something that I'm extremely passionate about.
Well, I have to share the same circumstance and belief with a park that's on my doorstep, Lurgan Park itself, where I know that it's helped my mental well-being and continues to do for others. That in itself, never mind the ambulatory opportunity you can get out to walk that lifts not just the mood, but physically is good
Absolutely.
for you too, completely within the realms of sensibility.
It's just unspeakably small-minded and short-sighted. If this park goes, it's never going to be replaced. I mean, they say that they'll do like for like with the trees. These trees on the right hand side of me are 20, 30 years old, 28. You can still get your arms around them. They would replace those with whips, which are spindle, the thickness of my finger. That's not like for like. It's taken 30 years for these trees to get to where they are now, and they're going to bulldoze them in the blink of an eye. It's unspeakably ridiculous to assume that they're going to get away with this and that we're going to let it happen.
Well, let me come back to you for more or less a final point on the whole story for now. Who do you direct that? I don't want to use the word anger, I would rather use the word passion for what we just heard from Helen, and you have a similar passion for this park. Who do you direct it to get the message through, to get the results that you want? Or who needs to be listening and hearing what you're saying?
Well, we did concentrate our efforts on council, but they had made up their mind. So we then went to the Ombudsman, and they have accepted our case. Then we moved down the legal route, and we have taken a judicial review, which unfortunately didn't go in our favour, and now we have applied to the Court of Appeal. But ultimately the blame for what's happening here lies with ABC Council, because in 2015 planning rights were devolved to council, and by reading the minutes you could see that they thought that they could do whatever they wanted to do. So they seen an opportunity then that they could move the town centre boundary from the front of the civic centre and along the front of the lake. And their ambition, as we seen it and we read about it in a master plan called the South Lakes Master Plan, was to create a waterfront town centre. But as it turns out, because the planning system in Northern Ireland is plan driven, they were mistaken in thinking that they could move the town centre boundary. You can't do that because it's not defined in the Craigavon Area Plan of 2010. So we had to go to court to get copies of the master plan. They tried to hide that. So ultimately, what I believe is that they dug themselves a hole that they have found it very, very difficult to get out of, and didn't anticipate the strength of feeling against what was going on. I mean, we have over, I think it was 6,800 signatures on a petition, and that was just locally. That was us going out and actually asking people to sign, and you know, that was ignored. But the strength of feeling now is much greater, because there are, I would say, the usage of the park has trebled since lockdown. You know, people, this park stayed open because they can't close it. You know, there's too many entrances, they can't close it, and the numbers are phenomenal. You come here on a Saturday, a Sunday, and the place is full. It's absolutely heaving, and I think that they realise that they've done something wrong, but because of the level of investment in the plans for City Park and the guts of £500,000 that they have spent defending their decision in court, that it's very, very difficult for them to backtrack.
Well, you'd understand in the scheme of journalism that I'll have to be looking for the other side of that story.
Yeah.
In time, not today. They're not here to represent themselves. What would you say, though? Well, ask a question as if they were the devil's advocate, if you like. Well, we had to pick it there. We did do a survey. We did do all the due diligence, and this was the best site.
There is enough room on the current SRC site in Portadown to accommodate this build. We have checked, we've done the measurements, okay? SRC built a new campus in Armagh across the road from the Mall, okay? So had they proposed to go and build this on the Mall, it wouldn't have been accepted, because it is a park. This is a park. You know, there's land across the road from here. There's land across the road from Rushmere. There's land down beside the existing schools where you could create an educational hub in the centre of Craigavon. This was a stupid idea to create a waterfront town centre without consulting the people who actually live here, and that was the biggest thing. Had they consulted with the people of Craigavon, this wouldn't have happened.
Well, thank you both in the short term. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again with different news, perhaps different stories to hear about the park, because it's full of life, it's full of stories, and it's full of people who are passionate like yourselves, who want to see things the way they are. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.